Singapore music history it started way back in a pre-war period, having cabaret musical set up by their own tour. It was an anti-youth culture movement actually. The bands that were recording couldn't promote much because the radio will not play. 60s it started very well and then it stopped in the 70s, and then like 80s it picked up again, and then 90s, and then like by year 2000 it kind of like went a bit weird. I mean now obviously it's picking up again.
This is Making Lemonade. Welcome to Making Lemonade, the show about the lives of musicians in Singapore and performances that have changed their lives or were just plain sour. I'm your host, Lemon Wayne, and someone told me that limes are native to Singapore, but lemons are not. And that person is Art Fazil. Yeah. Welcome, Art.
Hi.
So, Art Fazil has done so much. Being the founding member of Rausyanfikir, signed to Warner Music Publishing, signed to Pony Canyon Records, produced 2 Malay albums and an eponymous English album, 2 top 10 hits in the Singapore Perfect 10 charts. There's more. Compass Best English Song 1995, Compass Best Song Malay Song, Best Malay Song 1997, winner of Tim Nali Songwriters Competition, and performing extensively in the UK. Do I need to say more? It's Art Fazil.
Thank you.
Okay, so Lemon Wayne wants to perform for you a little piece.
Karen,
see if you can
I like to hear.
Recognize this song. Siapa dia dan siapa kamu? Siapa kita
Dan siapa aku?
Apakah warna rambut dan kulitmu? Apakah pula warna bola matamu? Hey, fikir, fikir, na 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 na. 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 Oh, so that was the song that.
Nice.
Yeah. How's my Malay?
That's good.
Oh my goodness, I listened to that so many times to try and hear how to.
It's quite relatively simple. My lyrics are generally quite simple, and I try to make it more accessible. I've got friends who write very complicated lyrics.
I see.
Yeah, even I don't understand sometimes.
Okay. So that was the song that Art won the Compass Best Malay Song.
That's from the Rausyanfikir, my
Rausyanfikir.
band's second album called Dhikir, Fikir, and it's been covered by another group from Singapore called Ahli Fikir. Like they're the rap version of us.
Okay.
When they did very well in Malaysia and Indonesia as well.
That's so cool. Okay, so for the audience, we want to get to know Art a little bit better. So we'll have a round of 8 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Wow.
Okay. So just off the top of your head, the first thing that you can think of, 90s music or 2020s music?
Okay, 1990s music as in made in Singapore?
And which one do you prefer? Let's say made in Singapore.
Well, 1990s was exciting because we had quite a lot of homegrown acts performing stuff. And they were being signed up by, like, there were 2 or 3 labels that were signing artists up, and we had a TV program called Live on 5 that was featuring a lot of local acts. So there was a good time for local music and also for international music, because there was like the height of grunge and all this rock style, like long hair rock, Guns N' Roses and Kurt Cobain and all that, which we don't have anymore.
That was like my teenage years, all those bands. Okay, favorite Friends character? Do you watch Friends?
I do. I used to anyway. Phoebe, I guess she's the quirky.
Okay, cool.
She's the cafe performer as well, you know. So a lot of musicians can smelly cat, you know.
Okay, would you rather be known as a singer or songwriter?
Songwriter actually.
Songwriter.
Yeah.
Okay. Local food recommendation.
Rojak.
Oh, nice. Skydiving or bungee jumping?
Skydiving.
Not so fast.
Skydiving is more fun because you can actually see that. Bungee jumping is like in between, right? And the rope would snap.
Yeah. Okay, I have to ask you about this later. Okay, one word to describe you.
Art.
One word to describe me.
Lemon.
Okay, between you and me, actually you don't really know me, but you think who will be more likely to master the harmonica? Or do you already know how to play? Because I
Well,
don't.
given potentially of you learning it it's probably you. Because I've learned it, but I probably won't progress from what I've learned.
I see.
But you could probably...
So I have potential to keep going.
Yeah, because the harmonic, I can only play the one that is the standard one.
Yeah.
Not the one that
with
Stevie
like
Wonder. The Stevie Wonder stuff.
What do you call it? It's like the blues harmonica with the slide.
Yeah. See, the thing I don't even know what it's called. Although I have like 8 harmonicas, but they're all the standard ones. The blues harmonica. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I want to ask you about the bungee skydiving. Have you gone skydiving?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
No,
maybe after the pandemic, it's time to go.
Yeah. I'm either parachute, skydiving, hot air balloon, stuff like that.
So extreme.
For some reason, I'm not drawn to bungee jumping because it's like you got your thing stuck to your legs, your ropes, right? And then
you're not free, but it's also a bit safer, I think.
But you kind of get very close to the ground, so
you might.
The thing is, if you're skydiving and your parachute does not open, right, you still have some time to say your prayers, right?
Okay.
Because bungee jumping is like smack and then like okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into like you were talking about the 90s was a great time for musicians in Singapore, and also your band. Rausyanfikir. Like, could you tell us a little bit more about your band, how it started, and
right? We were 3 friends. There were 3 of us. Myself. Then there's Makinglemonadesg, who's a very prolific poet, and another guy called Isham Jamil, who sadly has passed on. He got really ill in the late 90s and he's passed on. So we got together because we thought, we had the same interest in music, the kind of more poetic, acoustic. I think what could probably be in terms of reference is like something like Sing Yao.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's that kind of style. But at that time it was the market in the Malay market, it was very dominant with very rock stuff, like really long head rock stuff,
Yeah.
And we probably couldn't get a record deal. So what we did was we actually formed our own enterprise, pull out back, borrow money, and put together our money, right? And then we just recorded it ourselves and put it out. So we got distributors for that, and then that's where Pony Canyon came on and and got us on.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Because we were like. Because in fact we didn't know whether it will sell or will make any money. Yeah. We just like, just do it, I mean, what could go wrong? I mean, things are already going wrong anyway by not getting signed. so we thought, we'll just and we were lucky because we all started out as songwriters. Like me and Mama here, we started writing songs for Ramli Sarip. He was a very big star. Even today, he did National Day performance right the last 2 years. So we began as songwriters. For him, or most of our songs were recorded by him, or the production that he does, and by then we kind of knew what studio culture was like, because we all not trained in music.
I see.
No formal training whatsoever. So then, by the time we wanted to record, we knew who the studio managers were, which companies to approach, and some sessionists or producers to work with. So it kind of helped out.
So you guys were all songwriters. What instruments did you play?
Mainly guitar, not very well also, but enough to kind of get the music out, and then from there we work with collaborators, session musicians. Eventually I got better because of playing live, I mean, getting used to, but the initial experience is quite hard to have the opportunity to be a session studio player, because you need to be part of the loop, part of the gang, and they usually keep calling the same people because you get the job done very quickly. So nobody gives you time to make mistakes when you are like a session player.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was an intern at Lion Studios for a bit.
Oh, did you meet John?
Yeah, I met John. So I was under John, interning.
John,
under
the legend, man. John Herbert. He's a legend. I mean, he recorded Rausyanfikir. That song Fikir was recorded by him.
Oh my
goodness. He mixed it.
Oh, in Lion Studios?
In Lion Studio, yeah.
I was there. I was sitting in that room like every day.
Lion Studio, is legendary because you know the vault, right, where all the master tapes are. You know that is probably like at least 50 to 60% of Malay hits are in there.
Oh wow. Okay, so like in an analog studio, you have a tape machine and you have to store them as tapes.
Yeah.
And every like recording studio has a tape room because you used to have to before digital. So it's the tape room in Lion Studios next to the recording studio. You just walk in and then it's like a shelves and shelves of songs, and it was one of your songs were there, and I
think 2 of my albums are there. One is this Rausyanfikir second album, and then my English solo album is in there also, recorded there. Also done. That place has certain I would call it luck, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of the hit albums were made there. Even Malaysian rock bands, because back in the 80s, 90s, even to late 90s, there were not many good recording studios in Malaysia. So the big bands that had budget, like labels, would bring them to Singapore to record. So Lion Studio was one of the places where they would record all the rock stuff, because you need the analog sound for drums and all that.
It used to be like Polygram, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which other studios were there?
The Lion Studios is one of the oldest. They've been around since even like 60s. And then they have a Quad Studio is no longer around, which is at Lavender, or one of the Kallang flatted factories area. You know, like in overseas, you see studios looking at the countryside, looking at the sea, you know. Ours looks at the lorries as you go out, and the trucks.
Oh my god, that's so true.
And then like you go out, it's all the factory workers making, you know, plastic pails, jeans, whatever.
All the studios I've been to are in like some warehouse.
It's a warehouse because I guess because rental is
just
probably a lot cheaper as well.
Yeah.
So, and then there's Form Records and also Form Studio, which is in Lavender area, is no longer there.
I see.
Ready Fusion, there a lot. EMI Studios, the legendary EMI Studios at McDonald's house. Orchard Road, you know where Plaza Singapura is? It's McDonald's house, right? Yeah. I think in the 60s it got bombed by terrorists.
Oh my god,
but
sad.
But EMI Studios EMI Records was there, and EMI Studios were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the stuff that were recorded by Reggie Verghese, the Quest, all the 60s Singapore English pop stuff. I think some of them were recorded there.
I see. Oh, that leads us into a question I wanted to ask also. Like, what are some of the musical acts that we should listen to from all the different groups?
Yeah. There's a lot. Actually, I think Singapore music history is there's a lot to dig into, because it varies, because it started way back in pre-war period. Because this is your history. I mean, if you got time, right? So pre-war period is where, because the lingua franca was Malay back then, or Bazaar Malay. So very simple Malay that was using. So everybody the entertainment mainly was that. That's why Shaw Brothers came and started the Malay film productions, and P. Ramlee and all those, you know, came over from Penang, and Singapore became the center because we had the technology. So pre-war period, there was this thing called the Bangsawan Musical Troupe. So it's like basically your moving cabaret musical setup, but they're on tour. They go Penang, they go KL, they go Malaysia, they go to Java, East Malaysia. And imagine in those days the equipments were heavy stuff.
Yeah,
so they were all traveling. So it was like a musical plus comedy sketch. So the musicians were making a living from that. Like they were playing with a live musician, and they were composing for the musicals. So the musicals were anything from really trivial local stuff, which they kind of write, or could be based on local legends, or could even be Shakespeare stuff.
Oh wow!
So and also because of it was still under the British back then, so it was a lot of British influences as well.
I see. The language of that was in Malay.
Mainly in Malay, but obviously during the music part, they was also singing in English. So it's a mixed bag of things.
I see.
So and then when the war came, it all stopped.
Yeah.
Right. So and then after the war, then it started all over again. So by the 50s, when Shaw Brothers came over from Hong Kong to set up the Malay film productions at Jalan Ampas in Balestier Road. So they basically at first they hired directors from India because local directors were not available. And
I see.
yeah, so they brought in the local, the Indian directors from India to direct some of the Malay films. So the early Malay films had a bit of Indian feel to it.
I see.
Or rather, an Indian director's vision of what Malay.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Malay culture is. And so it was I mean, something for them to learn as well. You know, for the Pyramid learn from all these guys, and then eventually from the film production, because in those days most films need music in it. So they were musicals. You know, it's all based on all the musical stuff that is like the Sound of Music, you know, which kind of developed into like Hindi films. It's also based on the same thing, right? That kind of concept. So because they were playback singers, right? So the actors need to lip sync to the songs. So that's when recording started. So they started recording the music first, mostly at EMI Studios. And then when they were like doing the movie scene, they like to sing, they just play back and then just lip sync over it. And then whatever that they released when the movie came out, they produced in vinyl form. And then the thing just kind of came about.
So a lot of the early music was from the films itself.
Yeah, I mean for Malay music at least, you know.
I see.
But at the same time, there was a lot of jazz, rumba, cha-cha stuff, whatever that was hip back then that was being played in the cabarets.
I see.
All the cabaret clubs, and now we have this, you know, like entertainment centers like. Okay, now we have like USS and all that, right? So last time we have like Happy World, New World, Gay World. All these are like entertainment centers where you go for your fun things, you know. So and there's music, there's like amusement park kind of stuff. When I was a kid, I saw a bit of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but when I was a kid growing up, I saw the end of it rather than the glory days of it. Yeah. And then from there, the next generation of musicians in the 60s were very much influenced by the whatever that's going on in the pop world in the West.
I see.
So at that time, remember, we were still under the British administration. So a lot of records were coming through from England. Through the British base.
I see. Okay.
Right. So I spoke to the older musicians like Rami Sahib. He said he used to get all his vinyl collections of rock stuff which is not available in the shops, right? Because some of the stuff are banned. So they went to the British because they also placed like gigs at the British base, right? Army base. So and that's how it kind of started this whole band explosion in the mid 60s. What happened was Cliff Richard came with the Shadows in 1962, played at the Badminton Hall. That kind of sparked this whole imagination of young musicians going like, we could be like that. And that was the guitar music, that was guitar driven. So all these bands like the Quest, you know, Vernon Cornelius and the Quest, the Cyclones, Normie and the Boys. These are Singapore English pop songs, you know. And at the same time, there was the Malay stuff going on, the pop yay music, with Jeffrey Dane and all that. But they were also kind of intermingled. Like some of them will make English records and also make Malay records. Because whatever that sells, you know. So and Reggie Verghese was part of the Quest, who later on became a very good producer and produced a lot of good records under EMI.
I see.
So that kind of drove the whole music thing from 65 to 70 was the golden age of Singapore pop, when the first phase. And then in 1970, 1st of January, the government says we'll ban rock and roll. No jukebox. You can find it on the internet. I mean, it's part of Singapore history now. I mean, but it was the ban against yellow culture, so there was no jukebox. A lot of bands before that was making money from tea dancers. So because you have they're too young to go to disco. There was no discos then. To go to like the nightlife, right? And they can't afford. So they go to tea dancers like afternoon on Saturday. So the bands will have the stage in a small hall. And they will all be dressed up like they are heroes, you know, in suits and all that. And they were playing all the stuff. And they were playing not only covers but also their own stuff. So when this whole ban on rock and roll music was implemented, so there was no rock and roll music on radio. There was no jukebox. On jukebox, there was none of that kind of.
So sad.
And that killed a lot of bands because suddenly they can't do tea dance music performances. They were not making any more music.
So what music was allowed? Sounds like no music was
Karen Carpenter, all the same bubblegum stuff. I mean, I love Karen Carpenter, great voice, you know. But it was safe music. It was safe that it doesn't it was an anti-youth culture movement actually.
I see.
And I think in 67 or 69, I think 69, the film Woodstock was released. Woodstock, based on the concert series. I mean the concert or the 3 days
festival.
concert festival. Yeah. They turned it into a movie. So, but it was banned in Singapore.
Oh my
So
God.
the local musicians went to Johor Bahru.
Oh yeah, just cross the border.
So that apparently created a lot of ignited interest in like heavier rock music. And I heard this personally from Ramli Sarip, that he actually went to watch the film and he left the cinema thinking, I want to do that.
Yeah.
He and I think it was Atwell Jensen or one of the Jensen brothers from Heritage. So they all went and then they went like, yeah, this is it, man. We're doing this kind of stuff. So they end up fighting the system because they live in the era where males with long hair will be served last. You know, have you seen that poster?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So they literally lived in that era. I saw the end of it.
I see.
So those were the times when the police would actually spot males with long hair and take you to the barber. You get a free haircut. It was. I mean, you younger generation
now?
thinking about that. It was like you think it's North Korea, right?
Yeah.
But it happened. I mean, it's all in the history books. You know,
Wow.
and you should get this book called Apache over Singapore. I think. It's
Apache
called,
over Singapore.
by Joseph Pereira.
Okay, yeah, we'll
I think-
put that up here.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, but it's Pereira. It's yeah. So he's written 2 books on the homegrown music scene in the
I
60s,
see.
and very
Okay.
concise, and all the album covers and all that.
Yeah. Actually, I'm curious because so what happened to like the recording industry at that time?
Okay, so the bands that were recording with they could still record, but they couldn't promote much because the radio will not
I
play
see.
it, right? So some of the Malay musicians, they end up doing wedding gigs. So Malay weddings, you know, like they have music under the block now, right?
Yeah.
So this is before karaoke was invented. So all these live bands were engaged to entertain the guests that come for the wedding. And you know, Malay wedding starts from 11 to 4. so you have like from 11 to 3 they will play all the standard stuff. This is what I heard from the older musicians. From 11 to 3 they will play whatever's on radio, whatever that people request. But from 3 to 5 or 3 to 4
Get deep.
is when they go really full blast to 11.
Nice.
Right? That's when and that's how Sweet Charity, like Ramli Sarip's band, started out, because they were playing all these wedding gigs.
Yeah.
And then, but the fans somehow knew they were playing at somebody's wedding.
Oh my
So
God.
at about 3 o'clock, you see all these guys hanging around, but not part of the wedding guests, right? So they were just hanging around under the tree, and this was before void decks even, right? Because they were all at kampong. So they were all hanging around. The moment at 3 o'clock, right? I mean, it's like
It's party
understood.
time.
They all just go.
Party time.
Yeah, it's festival time. And that's when they will play their own stuff, their own more rocking stuff. Yeah.
It's so inspirational.
And they get, and apart from that, they also they play what we had before was before Esplanade, it was the National Theatre. So National Theatre was the place to be if you are like if you want to be a band. To play that means you are up there already.
I see.
I managed to see some gigs there when I was a small boy. My aunt took me there, and there was this stage that this band was playing, and then there was a revolving stage. So the band was playing.
Revolving stage.
Yeah. So right in the middle, there's like, okay, this is the stage, right? And then there's another platform that revolves. So the moment this band finishes,
The next band.
it just kind of like spin. It's like your steamboat thing, right?
Yeah, the steamboat.
So somebody must have inspired somebody. So either way, right? So it kind of like, so the band just finished and it faded out, and then the next band comes in.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was like 8 or 9. I'm going like, oh my God, wow, this is cool. I don't know what.
Why don't we have that now? It's like it's like what?
And things were more organic than things were like done because they just love it, and there was not much media coverage. There was no internet and stuff like
That's
that.
so inspirational.
So
Yeah.
and they were really good musicians as well.
Yeah, I really thank the Four Bears for really like pushing the envelope. And I think coming to you, so you were talking about like how your band, you guys had to cut the album yourself, and you didn't know whether it would fly, people would buy the album, and I think that kind of innovation that you guys had is similar to something like this. And I want to ask you like, what inspired you to do something like that? And yeah.
It was just a need to do it. Really, we didn't even think about success or being any like being a star. It was just like, okay, we have these songs, we need to put it up.
I see.
And it was more of that burning desire to just be heard.
I see.
I mean, we didn't know the music business. We don't know what music publishing was, what contract was,
Just need to.
So we just thought, I'll just do it. And then life would take care of itself.
Just need to make the music.
Yeah. I think as musicians, that's the main thing that you need to. First, you have to establish that you want to be, this is what you want. Because it's not an easy life being a musician.
Yes.
And somebody actually said being a musician in Singapore is like trying to plant trees in a desert. This comes from older guys, So it's kind of like you need to kind of work out your ecosystem. Now, I mean, now it's a lot easier because you have all this information available. When I started out, I had to save money to buy a book called "What You Need to Know About the Music Business" by Donald Passman. Now I think it's on the 9th edition.
Yeah, I think I've seen that book.
Yeah, I got the first edition. So that's when you kind of like, oh, this is music publishing. Oh, this is
royalties.
Yeah, but then that's based on the American system. So you need to kind of find the local version of it, which is quite similar. And then also how to, like, if you're serious into music, then you need to know how to monetize your music. Like now, especially with Spotify and YouTube and iTunes, how to get it across through your aggregators and all that.
Wow, so many big words.
So these are, it's a lot easier now because the things are more porous. Last time the gatekeepers were the record labels, right? If you don't get past the receptionist at the record label, you won't get. I mean, what I used to do was when I started writing music, because I was writing in both languages. I was writing in English and also in Malay. Because in Malay, I was influenced by people like Ramli Sarip, Sweet Charity, and it's M. Nasir, who's like gone to live in Malaysia and write like 2,000 songs, stuff like that. At the same time, I was very inspired by local acts that was like doing their own thing, like Chris Ho. Chris Ho had Zircon Lounge.
Okay.
And this was before he goes into techno and dance stuff. This is when he was doing Tex-Mex, Americana music, very guitar-driven. And I still have his first album called Regal Vigor, the LP. That's like, somebody want to buy it. I said, I'm not selling that.
Yeah, it's history.
Yeah, and so Chris Ho was really cool because he was doing something really different. And then the band called Heritage, they were also doing their own stuff. And Dick Lee was doing his own thing. Nobody really paid attention much to Dick Lee back then until his Mad China Man album. Then because that album came out and it was signed. I think Dick Lee was signed to Warner Music.
I see. Okay.
Right. So somehow the album got to Japan, and it became a big hit in Japan.
Oh wow!
It was so huge that the Japanese kind of looked towards Singapore and were like, "What's going on here?" Wow! And then that's where they set up Pony Canyon Records.
That's from Japan.
I don't know if you remember Asia Bagus.
Okay.
That time it was from the same company, Fujisankei Communications. So they all came down, set up Asia Bagus and set up a record label, Pony Canyon. And that's how I got involved with Pony Canyon after that, getting signed to them.
Everything just links together. Yeah, you're talking about like the gatekeepers. Like today is really a lot easier. Like right there, it's just audio interfaces. You can just record things directly. And also information, everything's online on the internet as well.
Yeah, you can go directly to CD Baby or one of those aggregators to put out your music out. Because the big players like iTunes, Spotify, they don't want to deal with individual artists, so they deal with like this middle. Also, kind of, but then they're more service oriented rather than gatekeepers. Like record labels had the A&R, and
that's true,
and when I was starting out, I used to send my demo tapes to the record label. And I just leave them at the reception, and then hopefully somebody will be kind enough to have a listen, or not, So
gotta put some like nice packaging so that they'll look at it. No. How do you get someone to?
Actually, there's no. We just again there was no clue. I just like recorded stuff and then put on cassette, right, and then put in an envelope and put the lyrics in and said, okay, this is my name, and call me if you need. So I was sending stuff to. This is about around 1986, 87, around that time. So I was very determined to kind of, because I was writing songs in English by then and performing in schools. So I thought, well, Chris Ho and Dick Lee's there, and then there's like a Heritage. So I was more curious and more driven to like see what's the English music scene, because the Malay music thing was like, okay, I know the kind of roughly the way, because there's already a path there. You see.
Someone made a way.
Yeah, so this is like uncharted territories, and back then I didn't know about the 60s scene, but later on I found out there was a scene back then already, you know.
I see.
So Singapore English pop music scene had a start and stop thing going on for years. 60s it started very well, and then it stopped in the 70s, and then like 80s it picked up again, and then 90s, and then like by year 2000 it kind of like went a bit weird. I mean, now obviously it's picking up again with Baby Beats, and you know you have your pop idol series and all that. Yeah. So it's a lot more. It's a lot more easier to gain attention now. To be more visible, because you can have your own YouTube thing, you have Instagram and stuff. You know, like in those days you have to gig. If you don't gig, nobody knows who you are. If you don't get the chance to play, right? You nobody would know who you are.
Yeah, but so sad now also, no more gigs for now.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, so like I think in the 90s, right, your band kind of was really active in the 90s, and your band also wrote socially conscious lyrics. So I was wondering, like, kind of what was the thought process behind the topics you chose, and also how you kind of approach the topics?
For Rausyanfikir, it was very much driven by, because we were all fans of poets that was still active then, and they were from Indonesia, from Malaysia mainly. So we were kind of driven by whatever they were writing. We were kind of influenced by it. A lot of it also identity-wise, because you know the Malay people in the region, especially in Singapore, we were writing from a Singaporean perspective. We went through like from the kampong days into urbanization, so there was a bit of that kind of vertigo where from this very nice setting that you have, suddenly you are kind of taken out of your comfort zone, and then you are put in block of flats, you know, and mixed. So you kind of lose a lot of that.
The original.
Yeah, the lifestyle, and you lost your neighbors, you know, because you all had to move to different places, right? So we were kind of responding to stuff like that, and also there was a lot of consciousness in terms of the Malays in Singapore trying to improve themselves, like in terms of education, in terms of economy. So we were kind of tapping onto that kind of energy, and you know, and try to distill it and then present it as a 3-minute pop song.
Make it more like digestible.
So we were like we were just kind of reflecting on it, you know.
I see.
Yeah,
because I read somewhere in an interview that you wrote the lyrics also to kind of speak to the youth.
Yeah, well, because we were younger. Actually, my English solo album was very much more directed to the youth.
I see.
Yeah, whereas the Malay ones was, because obviously there were 3 of us, so not all the songs were socially conscious. Some are just standard love songs, some were songs about the environment and stuff like that. But my English album was like songs like Full Moon Over Marina Bay is about social, about the problems of the youth in back then, you know, which is somehow still applicable in terms of the problems. Recently, somebody asked me, I have a song called Mama, I Can't Breathe. It's about feeling stifled in Singapore, like, and whether do I still feel it? I said, compared to what was in the 90s, now it's a bit more liberal, but if you ask a young person today, maybe they still feel equally stifled by what it is today, because you cannot judge by the standards of perspective, right? Yeah. So for me, it's the English album was more because I dealt with that kind of feeling stifled, not being able to breathe in Singapore, not having a sense of freedom. Full Moon Over Marina Bay was much about social issues, and then I had one song called Sin of the Skin, which suddenly became relevant because it was a love story between 2 people from different racial backgrounds.
Okay.
So that was a song about that, which kind of recently, obviously from the video that you see, it suddenly became like, it's
we can I go and listen to that
so
song.
I have been claimed to be a prophet because because apparently some of my songs kind of like it came back again, and like he saw it before, you know?
Okay, so now we'll listen to a clip of Art's song. Which song should we listen to?
Here's a song called Mama, I Can't Breathe.
have to watch what I eat now. Yeah, I cannot run at my own pace, Mama. I have to do what they do. I cannot take my own sweet time, Mama. They make me join the race too. To break free, yeah, yeah. Oh, Mama, I can't breathe. Oh, maybe I should just leave. Had a price. Try and guess what the price could be. I'm sure you won't be surprised. Yeah. Maybe I should just leave from the womb till I'm in my grave. They try to make me into what they want me to be. From the womb till I'm in my grave. They try to make me into what they want me to be, into what they want me to be. Not what I want to be, but what they want me to be. To be or not to be, the question for you and me. Singing, Mama, I can't breathe now. 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 Gotta be free, 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 free. Free, 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 free. Free, 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 free. Free, free, got to be free, 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 free. Free, 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 free. Free, 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 free. Free, free, got to be free. Thank you.
Okay, so that was Mama I Can't Breathe by Art Fazil. So Art wrote this piece because he felt stifled in Singapore, and he left for the UK in which year?
95.
Yeah.
I stayed there for... Well, initially I just went there to just travel.
Yeah.
But I ended up staying long stretches at that time. Because I found places to play. They have a lot of open mic nights where you play your own songs, you know. So, I mean, in Singapore, the cafe and pub scene was mainly about playing covers, you know. But when I was there, suddenly there's all these places where you can just do your own songs. I mean, you start with 3 songs in the open mics, and then if they like you and then you think you can bring in the crowd, they give you a full set to play.
Really?
And like you could be headlining, or you could be double billing with another act.
I see. So it's not just like you go in with your guitar and you just play. It's actually like they book you and then you play.
Initially, yeah. Well, for open mic, you basically you just appear and say, "Look, I want to do your open mic." So it's first come, first serve basis. But once you are regularly, once you perform that regularly, and then if the organizers or the promoters think that you've got enough following and people like you, or they like enough, they will try and maybe put you as a double bill or supporting act, until you can do a headlining act. So I was lucky. I think I had one with a blues musician from the States, and then I mean, there were so many clubs that I was playing. There was the 12 Bar Blues at Tottenham Court Road. There is Bungees. Bungees is interesting because Bungees is actually in a wine cellar, which no amplification. So it's a huge wine cellar, but there's no microphones. So you just literally perform
It's just
bare.
reverb.
Yeah, reverb, natural reverb.
Nice.
And what's interesting about Bungees is that they have a logbook where whoever performed there will have to sign, right?
I see.
So in the logbook you have names like Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, David Bowie, Jeff Buckley. So these are guys before they got really big, obviously, not after they've gone big. So when they were all like kind of starting out, and so that was one of the places that they performed in. And then there is the Rock Garden at Covent Garden, which is quite a nice place to play, and also the famous Kashmir Club. So I became quite a regular feature at Kashmir Club, which was much later on in the from 97, 98, around that time. It was started by my friend Tony Moore, who used to be part of a band called Cutting Crew. The famous song from the band is called Heart, I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
Okay. Wow.
So he was a keyboard. So he started out, and because of his contacts with the music industry, he brought in producers, record labels, managers.
I see.
So I saw Katie Tunstall play before she got signed.
Oh, you're in like great company here.
Yeah, so and I saw like even like legends like Leo Sayer popping up.
Yeah.
Because they all well, London is small anyways. It's like so they kind of everybody knows each other, kind of thing. If you're in the scene, so I was like a fly on the wall, going like, that's Kiki D. She did a single with Elton John. That's Leo Sayer, When I Need You, that song, And then there were a few other guys. So there was. I saw Katie Tunstall is an incredible musician on her own. With a band she's great, but even on her own with her pedals, she's really good. Yeah. So and it took her about 10 years to get signed. Wow. So she was. I mean, there were like labels that wanted her, but maybe she wasn't happy with the deal and all that. This was obviously at the height of Britpop with Oasis and Blur and Verve and all that. So it was a very, very interesting time to be in London in the late 90s, and and then I got involved with the Free Tibet movement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because my friends were Tibetans, and in fact, when I first came to London, I also tried busking.
Okay.
Because the legend goes that from local musicians, even the buskers are good in London. So for me, it's like, okay, let's try.
Yeah.
So I tried busking, and for about 3 months I tried busking in London, which was fun. It was great fun because I've never busked in Singapore, because busking was illegal back then in Singapore, not like today, where you can actually get like opt-in license. Yeah. So busking in London was fun because it was a new territory. It was like I didn't know anybody, so you kind of need to know the system as well, how it works, and you get moved when the police, they have the transport police like Transcom, but they call it Metropolitan Police.
Okay.
So they will come, but they will not. They won't check your IC like here. Check it here. They will ask for your IC and stuff. Yeah. There they go. Just like you just move on, mate, because they know buskers are not problem makers. Yeah. They just, in fact, people prefer to have buskers around because you feel a lot safer.
I see.
Because there's human presence,
So there's someone there so that nothing bad happens.
Yeah. So I had a lot of fun. I mean, I met a lot of nice people. They were giving me sandwiches. They gave me beer. They gave me drugs, which I give to my friends. Of course. And I meet quite a few people who became friends, good friends. And one of them was a girl called Hillary, who invited me. I was busking. She said, "Would you like come to a party after this?" I said, "Yeah, I said, "Oh." Then she gave me the address. So what happened was, it was a party that was done at a Free Tibet campaign thing going on. So I had a lot of friends, and and because I was all new to this whole new world, right? So it was fun to go for a protest march. It's nothing violent. It was just like for Tibet to be free of China. So for every Wednesday, they will gather outside the Chinese embassy in London. They go like, "China out, China out." so it was quite fun. Just to, for me, it was an outsider kind of being part of the scene, but it was kind of almost surrealistic because it's like, is this real? Kind of thing.
I've only seen one like civil protest. I think it was in Korea when I was there, and I was in the armed forces. So I wanted to go like have a look and things like that. But all my friends were like, don't do it. Later you get charged or like something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're part of the armed force, you can't. But I mean, to observe, I don't think it should be a problem. Just to have a look and take pictures, right? So
yeah. So those were some of the challenges you were trying to like get away from in Singapore.
Yeah, I was feeling very stifled because I felt there was, I don't know. I was always curious about what's out there. You see, so I mean, to be honest, I think some people might have thought I was crazy to just pack up and go, because I literally dropped everything off. I literally left for London with one backpack and a guitar. And I was at the height of my kind of early career as a musician with Rausyanfikir, and then Pony Ken offered me to do a second album, which I turned down, because I thought, I'm just gonna like see what's out there, you see. Wow, so I was curious, and it's not an easy life, I mean, it wasn't easy, but it was fun. It was fun, and it's great because there's only 3 places for musicians to be in. You either in LA, New York, LA, Nashville, or London.
I see. Okay.
LA is because all the pop stuff, all the and then Nashville obviously is all the singer-songwriter, a lot of country music stuff, which is a huge market, folk stuff. And London obviously because of the history of the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and where all the record labels are anyway. So it's a place to be, like I have friends coming in from like Bristol, from Manchester, and base themselves in London because this is when you want to gig, because all the talent scouts are there, because the record labels are there, and the producers, band managers as well. So I met my manager in London. I had a couple of managers. One of them was Robert Miller, who went on to manage Corey Bailey Ray.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's like
you've been in places with Bob Dylan, like so many names.
And also my claim to fame, I've seen the Rolling Stones live at the Wembley, like the real McCoy, the real gig, at the old.
Now you're
Wembley
just showing
Stadium.
off.
I gotta show off because the thing is, being a musician in London, you really live the life. Either I don't know whether you've seen this movie called Yesterday. It's about this guy who's actually a kind of a pop musician or singer-songwriter trying to make a break. But in the movie is that he's the only one who knows all the Beatles songs when the whole world has forgotten the Beatles.
Oh, it's the new one, right?
Yeah, it's kind of newish. Yeah, correct. So whenever he played all these Beatles songs, people, such a great song. So there was a scene in there where he was riding a bicycle with his guitar on his back. I was looking at it. That's me. I was like that.
That was you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think at a certain point you decided to come back.
Yeah, it was accidental because it was 2008. I wanted to do my Malay world music album called Syair Melayu, which is actually a collection of Malay folk songs, which we learn as children, like even Rasa Sayang and all. But I wanted to make a adult version, as in like more
Like contemporary.
contemporary
Not so
and
nursery rhyme.
yeah, not geared towards children,
I see.
right? So and I couldn't get the musicians that I wanted to work with in it's hard to find traditional musicians in Europe, in London and all that. I sent out a few emails but didn't get good response from gamelan musicians who were based in Europe and all that. So I decided to come back. So I did all the pre-production. So I came back, and then while finishing the album 2008, the economic crisis. So and my friends in London going like, don't come back, there's no work.
Oh no.
So there's no point coming back because in fact some of my friends who were like engineers for studios end up being electricians and all that.
Oh man.
Yeah, because of all the economic crisis, right?
Yeah.
So one thing led to another, and then I kind of like stayed on for 2 years, and then I set up a went to live in KL, and then I started working with Moro Records as the in-house producer. Which is KL based. So and then just then I just like then I kind of ended up traveling around the region as well, and I just felt comfortable and go like, all right, just go with the flow.
Yeah. Oh, you were mentioning that gamelan was in. You have gamelan in your music. So I think the song that I learned, the Fikir also has gamelan in it, right?
Yeah, there was some there was sampled sound from gamelan's sound. Yeah, because I just needed to have those elements. So for when I did the Syair Melayu album, which is very folky, but I needed someone to play the traditional drums and all that, you know. So and I couldn't find anyone, so I ended up working with the musicians here.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's important for you to like incorporate these things as part of. Is it because it's part of your identity, or like what's the rationale?
It was more like what the song requires,
I see.
Yeah, rather than what by default, yeah, then it became part of my identity. But it was more like I think it needs this sound rather than it has to be there because it's me.
I see.
Yeah. So it's more like more putting more value or more what does the song require, you know, rather than what do I think I should do to it, you know.
Yeah, let the music guide it. Right?
Yeah, sometimes you kind of have a feeling about what the song should be, like a certain coloring to it.
Yeah, I also have the experience. Sometimes you just, I don't know how to describe it. It leads you somewhere and you just go.
So in some ways, I believe in this, that when you write music, or when a lot of us are just channeling stuff. So because there are times when I write music I go like, did I just write this? You know, it's just sort of, you know, kind of
I
like,
know exactly how that feels.
Yeah, you know, you kind of like your flow, right? Your subconscious flow, and then you end up within 30 minutes or 1 hour you got this tune that's ready to go. You know,
like who wrote this, right?
Yeah. So and I've heard this from like big names, like even John Lennon said like something about channeling. You know, you just kind of like, you are there with your Wi-Fi open and you just tap into the energy.
John Lennon had Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So your antenna had to be. I think we because we are dealing with, as musicians, you are dealing with the unseen world, though. You see, you can see musical instrument, you see musical notes, but you cannot see music. You feel it.
It's abstract.
Right. You only hear it, so and you feel it. so it belongs in the realm of the unseen. So, and if you look at numerology, it's got number 7 is a spiritual number, and we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, which is 7 notes.
7 note scale.
Yeah, I mean the main notes, you know. So, yeah, I guess we are dealing with that. So in some way we are kind of tapping into something else that's out there.
Ephemeral. Yeah. Well, I think you really made the most of the situations and also the challenges coming from the 90s and up till now. And well, when life gives you lemons,
you make lemonade.
Yeah, cheers. We hope you've enjoyed today's show. Please follow Art in the link in the description, and Art will play us off with Full Moon over Marina Bay.
Okay, here's another song called Full Moon over Marina Bay.
Seaside Park turns into a gangland when the kids fought over a potential girlfriend. Somebody complained that the toilet was choked. When they checked, they found a baby in the toilet bowl. Just because she didn't pass her exams, a schoolgirl hung herself right on after school. And then the late Johnny, he got so high on glue, he jumped down thinking the car park was a swimming pool. It's full moon over Marina Bay, yeah. It's full moon, everything here seems so pretty. It's full moon over Marina Bay, yeah. It's full moon, are we going crazy? Little Susie, she's very pretty. She spends her weekends at parties, and then one night she just got herself too drunk, and the guys can't bang her till the morning comes. But with skateboards and classroom romance, the kids now dabble in skulls and pentagrams. The morning paper's quoted what the expert said. He said this kids are playing on a dangerous age. It's full moon over Marina Bay, yeah. It's full moon, everything here seems so pretty. It's full moon over Marina Bay, yeah. It's full moon, are we going crazy? Oh, crazy, and everything here seems so pretty. Ooh, oh, are we going crazy? It's full moon over Marina Bay. Thank you.